Hi, I'm Brandon Reyes with T.R.U Release and AXCEL sights, and one of the most common questions we get is how do I level my sight to my bow? Well, I'm going to show you today how to level an AccuTouch sight as you see here in the picture. You can see I have a tabletop leveling device here, and it's important to make sure that this tabletop leveling device is level prior to trying to set the level bubble on your sight. Otherwise, compound issues make compound problems. So if it's level on the table, your sight's going to be level. If it's not level on the table, your sight's not going to be level. So what I got here is a L-shaped leveling device that I'm going to actually put right onto the bowstring. And I try to keep this as close to the knocking point as possible. A lot of times I'll do this before I even tie a D-loop on. It's one of the first things I do is when I'm leveling a sight is level the sight prior to putting the D-loop on, but I already have my D-loop on, so I'm going to go just below it with the L-shaped level here. So now what I want to make sure is my levels are in the middle of the lines. So on this one, the front forward to back one here, I can move with this lever on my device. And I'm just going to slide it gently back and forth to where I get my bubble in the middle. And the one coming from right to left here, if I need to adjust it, I could actually tip the bow right or left to get it in the middle. It's pretty much in the middle already. So now I've got that level set. I'm going to try to not touch anything on the bow, to ensure that that doesn't move. So I'm going to set my first axis. I'm going to use this little block level, and I'm going to put it on the flattest part of the sight that I can put it on my elevation, to ensure that my elevation is true to my bowstring or to my riser. So I'm relatively close right there, but if I was off, what I need to do is loosen these screws that mount the carbon bar to the head of the sight and tip the pitch right or left to get the bubble in the middle. But as you can see, I am real close right there as far as having my bubble right in the middle. So that's my first axis. You're going to notice that I'm doing these in order, first, second, and third axis. So my first axis is set. I'm going to move on now to the second axis. The second axis you're going to find on the front of the sight, and it's part of the actual block that mounts your scope to your AccuTouch or to your sight. So the second axis movement is an up and down movement just like this. So this is your second axis. And I'm going to pay attention to the bubble inside of the scope housing. This particular sight is a single pin, so it's just like a scope a lot of target shooters would use. But in this application, we're using it for a single pin hunting sight. So now, if you come around and look through the bow like you were to shoot it, you can see that my level is set right in between the two black lines on my scope housing. So my second axis is set. So now I want to go back and ensure that that movement, or that does not move, and tighten those screws on the second axis. Second axis is set. The third axis is set by canting the bow forward. So we're going to cant the bow forward, and I like to go around 45 degrees. And the bubble inside of the housing, if it runs out right or left, that's going to tell me that my third axis is off. So the third axis is adjusted with these two screws on the front, and when loose, you can see that the scope goes in and out. And you'll notice that a little bit of movement on the scope on the third axis makes a really big difference. So try not to make huge adjustments, because the smallest adjustment is going to move my bubble a long ways. So now the third axis is dead in the middle on the lines on the scope housing. So when I move my sight back to static position, the bubble should not move. No matter if I'm going uphill, downhill, or static, the bubble should be in the middle. This tells me that my sight is set perfectly to being all square with my bow. So if you have any questions on how to level your sight, feel free to check us out at www.axcelsights.com.